So I know this is probably a fool's errand. I probably have almost nobody watching because the Queen, Emily D. Baker, is live streaming right now. And I have no problem with that. Replay crew. Okay. I wanted to talk a little bit about meeting the Duggars today because I met them, I think it was like 6 years ago, according to my Facebook page. First, I want to say I'm Suzanne Titkemeyer. I wrote for Pathos No Longer Quivering for almost 10 years about the Quiverful movement and the Duggars. Occasionally, I would write about them. Do the YouTubey things, hit like, subscribe, whatever. And I would be very appreciative. Don't bully anybody. Don't be rude to anybody that I ever discuss here, even without a box of Kleenex. Okay, I'm going to jump right in, and the replay crew can just hit replay. Back when the Duggar daughters were going around promoting their new book they'd written, Growing Up Duggar, I think it was the name of it. Hey, just another troll. Hey, Will Clem. She's late. Well, Emily D. Baker is going to take away any traffic I get, so it's all good. I didn't realize when I scheduled the stream that we were both going to be at the same time. I always try to do an hour before her, but it is what it is. So I met the Duggars at a book signing back in, like I said, I think it was 6 years ago. It may have been 7, but it keeps coming up as 6 years ago. It was the Duggar daughter book, Growing Up Duggar. It was right before the scandals with Josh came out, I think. Let me think about it. Yes, before, because he was still working for the Family Research Council. So that would put it back more like 7 years. They were signing books, the Family Christian Bookstore in Alexandria, Virginia, which isn't an impossible slog for me in those days. So I went and I brought my daughter with me, my baby, who at the time had very short hair dyed a very vivid shade of red. That plays into our story here. I was curious to see what type of interactions the Duggars had with people. And we got there early, pretty early, and the line was way out the door. So it was quite the long wait. But what happened was every Duggar in the family was signing the books. I bought 2, one for myself to read, one to get autographed and stick straight on eBay, which is what I did. So my daughter had my other book, I had my book. So, observations. First of all, the Duggars were rather late for the signing, and the daughters ran in first, and then the film crew. So they were actually filming for an episode of that time. It's to be 19 Kids and Counting. They were still filming for that, and I thought it was interesting because one of the camera guys, was clearly Orthodox Jew. He had on his yarmulke, he had on his prayer shawl, and he had his camera. That was kind of interesting. So we waited in this line forever. Hey, Sunny, sign up. Oh, thank you so much. Have a great day. So the action is there's 10 zillion people. We're waiting in line. And the first weird thing happens to us. A Chick-fil-A representative is going around dressed like a cow giving out coupons for freebies at Chick-fil-A. That's one thing, but they gave everybody in the line one. They skipped my daughter. And I think it was because of short red hair. And somebody from Sweet Frog did exactly the same thing. And I told her then, I said, one time I could understand, but 2, that's some serious discrimination just over hair length and color, which I kind of laughed over that. Hey, Kentucky girl, it's a bread making day. I got to do that this afternoon myself. So we stayed in line and we waited, I think, 2.5 hours in line to go see the Duggars. And we finally got up there after Michelle standing up and giving a speech, and other things happening. I got to see the interactions between Michelle and Jim Bob. And I believe, just from what little I saw, that Michelle is the one that actually runs the show while pretending to be the completely submissive wife. I've seen this again and again in Quiverful. The lip service gals that turn around and decide after a while that they're going to run the show. I mean, she's the mob boss, not him. He says he's a mob boss. Oh, lay down on your bed, listen. Okay, that's good. So, anyway, that's what happened. Michelle was acting in the interactions. It was pretty clear. She's the one running the show while pretending to be submissive. Just the vibe I picked up from her and the way she was doing things. I have no evidence of that. I'm just giving you my impressions. And that's all this is impressions and opinions. So we get up to the front to get our book signed. And the four girls are clearly over it. They're just talking to each other. They're not talking to the people in the line at all, at all, at all. So I thought that was a little weird. And the other weird thing is all four of the girls, heavy, 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 heavy makeup. Like, it's the middle of the day. Why are you wearing enough makeup to go walk the stroll? So not very friendly, heavily made up. It was the five oldest that were all sitting together. And then we get to poor John David. Now, that kid was the one of the whole bunch. It was completely miserable about being there. That was kind of like this, was just, and didn't interact with the soul. That's petty for the Duggar family to avoid your daughter. Well, it wasn't the Duggar family. It was Chick-fil-A and Sweet Frog. And the ironic thing is we go to Chick-fil-A and Sweet Frog. We used to quite a bit. So they're just shooting themselves in the foot by acting like that. I couldn't believe it. So I got to say that the Duggars themselves did not treat my daughter bad. I've got to say that. But we did put up with a few comments and a lot of stares. And I thought she looked just lovely. Oh yeah, I've already taken a look at that. And he did grow up with the Duggars, and he has some of the same impressions as I did just looking at them, just spending time watching them. So we went down the line to all the boys, and didn't say a lot. I started talking to one of the boys who was engaging and talking with me and my daughter when she came up behind me. And mostly we were talking about DC, all the things you could see and do in DC. I was asking him what he had seen while he was on his trip there. And then he complimented me on my red skinny jeans. I had on like velour skinny jeans and a handmade sweater. I thought I was looking pretty stylish. You should see my hair. I got to post a picture of that. Makeup, hair, outfit on point. I may not be the skinniest thing on the planet, but I do love my clothing. So I thought that was kind of weird. So later I was telling without a box of Kleenex that I thought maybe that this son was the one that was the friend of Dorothy, had been sent away to the camps, because I knew that one of the Duggar boys, maybe two, but one for sure, had been sent away to Bill Gothard's Pray the Gay Away camp. So I think it was this son. And I made the mistake of telling Katie Joy. So now Katie Joy has built this huge narrative around what I told her about the one Duggar son. One. And even then was just speculation, which is why I would never have used it on No Longer Quivering. You don't use speculation about under 18-year-olds anywhere. You just don't. The Duggar kids who are under 18 are off limits, or they should be. So then I came to Anna. Well, maybe Will. Like I said, I was styling a profile on that day. I don't know, this expensive hand knit sweater and my nice velour skinny jeans. So, and I think I had my red cowboy boots. So I got to Anna. And we had a long conversation because the line ahead of us was completely blocked because of the little kids writing in the books, which I thought that was a little bit strange. Usually it's only the author of a book that signs it. So this Duggar gauntlet was bizarre. And I kind of liked Anna at first. She was dressed more modern than her sister-in-laws, who had the sister-in-laws had the what I call the 2000s church girl look, because that's how I knew a lot of young ladies back in the old days when I was still in my quiverful church. That's how they dressed. But Anna was more up to date. She and I talked for a little while about just stupid stuff, living in the DC area, how many things there are to do, blah blah blah. And then she threw some shade at her sister-in-laws. She made some kind of country come to town kind of remark, and I was looking at her like, girl. So I've heard before that Anna Duggar is the mean girl, and I wouldn't have thought it except for my own short little interaction. Give me a glimpse that there was a mean girl in there somewhere, a mean girl waiting to come out. Absolutely, Lady Hawk. One of them is bound to be, and I don't see anything wrong with that. But that type of family is like a destructor for any child that's LGBTQ, because they'll never accept them, never, never, never. So that's why I never said anything, because I don't want to make life harder for an LGBTQ teen, especially one that's still closeted. And like I said, this was just my observation. I didn't observe him with any guys or anything like that. So it's just this very old lady who's lived through a whole lot of stuff in her life. It's just her observation. Weird sound from outside. So while I was talking to Anna, Josh was not there. And Josh arrived and slid in beside Anna and interrupted our conversation. And he and Anna were talking in furious whispers. I didn't catch any words. I wasn't trying to. I actually looked away because I think the conversations, oh, hey, Claire Bear, the conversations should be private between spouses. So I wasn't trying to butt in on that. Here's what I can tell you about Josh. He was greasy and harassed. I mean, he was just seemed like had bitten off more than he could chew, and the job was running him hither and yon. He was apologetic. He was balding back then. It was just greasy and sweaty and frantically overbooked. And I thought, poor guy. Little did I know that in a month or so down the line, we were going to hear all about Josh's shenanigans. So this has to be even farther back than that. When did all that come out about Josh? Was it 2015? Maybe it was 2015 I went. I'm terrible with dates unless I actually look up and verify. But this was, like I said, right before all this went down when the girl's book was coming out. So Josh, like I said, I was not impressed. I was not impressed, and exchanged maybe 2 words with him. Hey, hiya. So then we went on to the Littler Duggars, and that was fine. Each one of the little kids got their marker and was signing the books. And I will say this, the Littler Duggars, beautifully dressed and cared for. I actually complimented Michelle on that. I said, your children are very well groomed. I will say that. Not so much the older ones, but the little ones. I didn't tell her. Everybody. Okay, yeah. T King. I already asked, do the YouTube things. And then we got to Michelle and Jim Bob. And like I said, I'd already formed the opinion after watching Michelle stand on a countertop and speak with Jim Bob right below her, gazing up at her adoringly, and the way that they were acting, that she's the mob boss. She's the mob boss hiding behind the submissive, smiling mask. So I didn't even talk to her. But as I got my book signed, Well, I have many times, many times. Um, Jim Bob was there, and he was the one too. I talked to him, told him all that his kids were beautiful. Turned to Michelle, said the same thing. And then I told him who I was and where I was from, that I was from No Longer Quivering, which was a Pathos column about the Quiverful movement. And he said to me, "We're not Quiverful." I said, "Yes, you are," and kind of walked off because it's pretty clear that they are. Now, I've been at a couple of protests that the Duggars have turned up at. They used to show up at Ken Cuccinelli rallies in Virginia, and I would always show up too with a sign. So that is the skinny, the lowdown on meeting the Duggars. And here's the thing I wanted to say about this. Katie Joy has taken little tidbits from that time when I told her in much greater detail about meeting the Duggars and going to the book signing, having everybody signing the books. She has used that information as the basis of her Duggar information. I mean, a lot of it is based on stuff that I've told her that happened. That's happened at the Cuccinelli rallies, that happened at the book signing. Isn't Ken running for some other office? There's Ladies Failed campaign to teach him a lesson. Well, I think I saw that Cuccinelli was running for something. I don't know. I was kind of surprised he was not elected because he's running in an area where there are a lot of fundamentalist families. Unless he shifted from where he's running, because I've been watching this, pretty interesting. And not that all the ones that run on this conservative platform are conservative. There's one that ran on a very conservative platform, very religious, that is involved with things that he shouldn't be. He loves his gay aides. Let's just put it that way. And aide de camps. He has a little coterie of gay men surrounding himself, but he's been voted out. So I don't know what he's doing for it now. But he was rumored to have been. Yeah, Cuccinelli's just going to spend everybody else's money running again and again and again. And the Duggars are not the endorsement that anybody wants anymore because of what's happened with Josh repeatedly. And I think that this conviction of Josh is possibly the nail in the Duggar coffin as far as the fame. Now, I heard yesterday there's some that are saying the Duggars are getting ready to return to TLC, but I don't think TLC will touch them. I think that they are probably the well is poisoned forever with them. And quite frankly, I would hope so, because if your theology creates guys like Josh, because he was so focused on denying any kind of sexuality to your children in any way, shape, or form. They can't have dirty thoughts until they marry. Sexuality is not a tap that you can turn on and turn off. I've talked about this before. Disney is getting fired for funding Don't Say Gay bill sponsors in Florida. I saw that. I'm really shocked that they are involved with that. I also saw somebody sent around a petition against Disney because they're filming some television series at a camp where one of the Disney employees' children died at. I'm not a big fan of Disney Corporation. I think they've done some pretty sleazy things themselves. Not at all. I'm not a fan of theirs. Yet not a peep from WOACB. No, she's busy with the Duggars and the Wilkings. Politics overall is corrupt. I agree. Conservative or liberal. Once you take money from shady groups, you are no longer a public servant. You are a servant of your donors. Lady Hawk, I learned that the hard way the first time that Bernie Sanders ran for president, where he suddenly backed off and endorsed Hillary Clinton. I was Bernie all the way at the time. And then suddenly he built a big fancy multi-million-dollar mansion. I was like, Bernie, Bernie, why did you do that? Hey, always grateful. So that politics it really is. Once you take the money, you're the servant of the donors. And the DNC, RNC, they're both corrupt. I think they both need to be done away with and other parties created. Term limits would help. Term limits in Congress and the Senate would help a lot. Taking the money out would help. There's a number of things they could do to help, but I don't think that I think it's going to take something pretty major to make that happen. I'm sad to say. And I would hate to see that there's something major happening that would take it all. I can't believe I'm so late. Bossy, I've missed you. I'm glad to see you around. I have missed everyone because it's been a weird month for me. I just have to throw that out there. A very weird month between feeling really sick, ended up in the hospital where I was fighting with them every day, and I finally have some abscessed IV portholes that are starting to heal. So there's that. Out of the hospital, sick as a dog, sick as a dog, sick, sick, sick. Getting a little better, and then it strikes again, and I get sick all over again. Oh gosh. Oh, and I put this in last night so that everybody would get the notice. But YouTube is really funny about that too. So what can you do? So I haven't been able to do a live in a while. It just was taking too much out of me. I did do an extended video for thanks, Bossy. I feel a whole lot better, but I've got enough drugs to choke a mule. And I am getting better. They finally figured it out. They had to keep running blood work on me and all kinds of crazy tests to figure out exactly what was going on and to give me the right drug combination. So they got me the right antibiotic. And I managed to evade the hospital and the IV antibiotic that they wanted to give me. So I'm a lot better. And because of the fact that I'm a hard stick, incredibly hard, and they didn't understand that when I went in the hospital, that was the difficulty. And that was why I was trying to avoid the hospital. I didn't want to at one point, ended up with this arm swollen huge in my hand. My left hand looked like a Minnie Mouse glove. So I avoided all that crap this time. So I'm good. I'm getting better every day. So back to a little bit of the Duggars. But anyway, I did this long video too that I put up on my Instagram about my history with the church, how I joined the church, how I left the church, how I met Katie Joy, how she used me, and I had no idea. So I did this long overview because someone asked me to do something like that and put it up on Instagram for everyone to see. So I've done that. I may load that here too. I haven't done that yet. It's still sitting on my computer, but I may do that and then replace what I have as the introduction because he won't understand. Boom, bad day. Oh my God. Oh, no. Oh my goodness, Bossy. I don't like it. I will tell you, you can go in right here. And most of the time they listen. Not everybody does. If the lady in the ER had just listened to me because I already had an IV there, but she pulled it out, said, we don't do IVs in the joint of the elbow. And I said, that's the only really good place to do an IV on me. That's the only place I know for sure. Unless you want to do it on my legs. My legs are very good for that because the veins don't roll and they don't collapse and various things. And she said, we don't do that in legs and we don't put blood pressure cuffs on legs. So I was like, nope. So that's what you have to deal with sometimes if you're a hard stick. You have to deal with some crazy stuff. Oh, you can DM me all day. Yeah, so I don't know what my schedule is going to look like as far as doing live streams. I've got friends coming this week. I'm supposed to go back to the States and help my daughter with her wedding. I don't know when I'm going to have to settle a day and time for that. I got my hands full right now without even being sick. So we will see. We will see. Um, but back to this whole Duggar thing. The thing with Josh just breaks my heart. I've seen this happen so many times in my old Quiverful church where we've had like the story I've told before about the boy who screamed masturbate, and they had such a warped sense of sexuality at the old church that they had kids that would get up and say these things, or the whole purity ring thing. When my daughter came to me, my daughter is married now, and said she was not going to date, she was only going to be doing courtship, and that was only after she got her master's degree. I was kind of like, whatever. I happen to believe dating is an important step in development because it tells you more about what you like and what you don't like. If you start with group dates or just getting together with your friends, doing things like going to the movies, bowling, that sort of thing, you develop a radar for who is good and who is not good. And it benefits you in the long run. If you have zero experience with the opposite sex, and suddenly you're thrown into this courtship and you have to figure out if this is a person I'm going to marry or not. And most of the time leads straight to marriage with courtships. Not always. I've seen a couple of courtships go sideways in my time, even if most of them did not. They ended up at the altar. But how can you determine who it is you want to be with for the rest of your life if you have zero experience? I don't think it's possible. And some of these marriages that were made that way go super haywire, and most of them don't divorce because there's no divorce in Quiverful. So they say. I know of a few that have, but not that many. Most struggle on through. It turned into a horrible thing in my old church because those that were stuck in horrible marriages wanted to take those of us who were divorced and throw us out of the church, not even just leadership positions, but out of the church, make us leave. And they tried to pull that nonsense, and the pastor made them go on down the road. I was pretty impressed with him for doing that. I haven't seen him in years. I don't know what he's doing, but that was a good thing he did, along with convincing a lady whose husband had molested their daughters to divorce her husband. As far as I'm concerned, he's golden in those regards. Too bad he wasn't golden in everything else. Okay, you guys, I think I'm going to go. Like I said, I'm still recovering from all this crap, and I don't know what it's going to take. I got bedrooms to clean today, or have cleaned. I got to watch and see what they're doing, make sure nothing runs off. Okay, you have a great day. Try not to take any of this too seriously. I'm going to upload the other video too today, and just go from there. Love you guys.